Okay, looks like we're live. Welcome, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We're really glad you can join us for today. Welcome to the Introduction into Voice Design webinar. I'm your host, Adrian Daniels. I am the Head of Growth and Partnerships over at UX Academy, and we're all really grateful that you can spare some time out of your busy day to join us on this webinar. Great. So without further ado, let's get it started. Now, before I introduce the course instructor, who's also going to be part of this presentation, I'm also going to give you a short overview into UX Academy and what we do, so that for those of you that don't know about us, you can learn a little bit more about us. All right, so let's get straight into it. Great. So who is UX Academy? So UX Academy, we are a team of amazing designers, enthusiasts, technologists, innovators, technologists, and all of the above. So we are a training company that's been running for just over 3 years now, and we're still going to go strong. And UX Academy was set up on the back of Mobile UX London, which is another events company. And this company, Mobile UX London, was created to deliver the best practice in UX design, product design, and all of the above in the London area, and now online recently with conferences such as UX Festival. UX Academy delivers online part-time evening courses for those that want to upskill in UX design and other similar subjects such as voice design, product design, and so much more. Now, why do people choose UX Academy? Well, there's lots of great reasons why. So first of all is the opportunity to work on real life projects. So with UX Academy, you will have the opportunity to work on projects and build your portfolio, which is the most important bit when it comes to applying for roles. You're also going to get live UX teaching from 2 practitioners who have at least 7+ years experience in the industry, who are going to take you through on a journey, whether it's between 6 weeks or 8 weeks, depending on which course you're doing. But today we're going to focus more on the voice design course, which is the course which comes after today's webinar. UX Academy also offers UX design mentorship, which is really great opportunity for you to get some more information in regards to UX life, get some support from your instructor, get some more information regarding assistance with your projects, and so much more. And yeah, this is what we do at UX Academy, and there's lots more benefits, but I'm not going to bore you too much because we're going to get into the webinar very soon. Okay, so with UX Academy, you will find our students are either coming from top companies or they're going on to work for top companies. So I'm sure you can recognize all of these lovely logos on the screen, which are companies from around the world. You have Microsoft, you have Amazon, you have Toyota, Deloitte, Sainsbury's, and the list goes on and on and on. Yeah. Okay, so for those of you who decide to enroll in the voice design course, these are some of the lovely tools that we use. So for example, we use Slack for team communication. We have Google Drive for file collaboration. So for those of you that want to be able to access files and resources, this is the platform that we use. We use Voice Flow for voice prototyping. We have Zoom for video conferencing and workshops, which all take place online. And then we also use Miro for online whiteboarding, and then Envision is another prototyping tool that's also available. Okay, so who can get involved in voice design? Now, this course is open to anyone who is completely new to the industry, but in particular, you tend to find people with these kind of job titles applying to want to study voice design. So you have UX designers, you also have visual designers, project managers, software developers, business analysts, script writers, UX enthusiasts, and other people as well. Okay, so what you can see on the screen are some testimonials from some of our recent graduates. We can see here what Katharina has wrote. So Katharina has mentioned you as UX Academy did great in giving first insights into the world of voice design. I enjoyed being a student and learning from you. And then Ian here says, I came out of the course with the knowledge and confidence to apply what I've learned to my current role. I feel this has given me a great opportunity to pivot my career towards an exciting future in voice design. And that was Ian Roberts, who works at FutureLearn. And coincidentally, after this voice design course, he got promoted. So that's great news for him. And, it's something that you can probably look forward to as well if you come on the course. Okay, I would just like to remind everyone just before I hand over to Ben, who will be taking you through the overview of voice design tonight. There is a special offer for those of you that want to enroll into the course. Just visit myuxacademy.com/enroll and use the code workshop12, and you'll be able to bag yourself a sweet discount if you're coming onto the course. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to add Ben into the stream, and then we're going to get started.
Hello, Adrian.
Hello, Ben. How's it going?
Oh, it's great. Great.
Okay, Ben, so you just let me just add your slides to the stream, and then off you go.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, thanks, everyone. I know it's at the end of everyone's days. You're probably all Zoom fatigued out, but I'll hopefully keep it interesting for you. I am going to talk a little bit about voice in general, and then we'll talk about the course, and then I guess you can ask me some questions after the fact. All right. So let's get into it. I want to start with a little quiz. Actually, you know what? I'm forgetting something important. A little bit about me. So I'm a product design person. I was a product director at Babylon Health until recently, but I'm independent. I learned UX Clearleft in Brighton, and I do a lot of speaking and training around the world. I did a lot of training for O'Reilly in voice design, and I think I got to complete one of my major life goals, which is I trained people at NASA in voice design. So I think I can die happy now that I've done that. Voice UI in space. That's my contribution to the world. Anyway, so I've done a lot of voice design, a lot of training. Hopefully, you'll have a lot of fun on this course. Anyway, let's get into some kind of interesting high-level thoughts about voice. So I want to begin with a little quiz. This is a quote. There's only one condition in which we can imagine managers not needing subordinates and masters not needing slaves. This condition would be that each instrument could do its own work at the word of command or by intelligent anticipation. Now, before I reveal who said this and how old the quote is, I want you to just spend like 20 seconds guessing. How old is this quote? All right. So is it 50 years, 100, 200, 500? Can put your ideas in the chat if you want, or submit. 1,000, 2,000, who knows? How old is this quote? All right, no more guessing. So the person who said this was actually Aristotle. So the reason I put this up is that actually, like, the dream of speaking to machines and having them respond to us is like a lot older than you might imagine. And there's a kind of nice synergy really here for Aristotle, because he's the father of modern logic, which gave us computing. So he was kind of dreaming about speaking to computers even before he knew what they were, but he understood why logic was important way back when. But today it feels like, even though we want to speak to machines, a lot of the time it feels a bit like this. It's kind of a bit messy, a bit all over the place. And to illustrate this point, I'm just going to play a video. Adrian, let me know if everyone can hear the sound here. This is a clip from a film called Curious Rituals.
Call Gerardo.
Name unknown.
Call Gerardo.
Name unknown.
Call Gerardo.
Calling Gerardo.
Hello?
Hey Gerardo, did you call?
Yeah, are we still on for coffee?
Yeah, I will be there.
I'm
Oh.
Call ended.
Call Gerardo.
Calling Gerardo.
Okay. So that was Curious Rituals. I think all interaction designers should take a look at this film. It's really interesting. This was just a short part of it, but one of the key ideas is that the future often arrives as though, you know, it's sold to us as this beautiful, packaged, perfect interaction. But actually, the reality is that it's kind of messy, and voice is especially messy. And it's for one particular reason, which is that our sound, our physical environment, is actually a lot more chaotic than we tend to get with, you know, let's say trackpads or screens. But the sound environment is very messy. And so even if we get like amazing speech recognition, it can be quite difficult for machines to understand us. So as designers, if you take one thing away from this webinar or this course, even if you don't show up, our true calling is to make the system fail gracefully. Because actually humans do this in conversation all the time. We're constantly correcting and trying to probe each other for, you know, whether we've understood. There's a really rich set of non-verbal things that are going on that help us understand each other. So when in that example it was saying name unknown, well, you know, actually that was probably not to disparage engineers, but it was probably designed by engineers, and actually you know, it needed a bit more thinking as to how the machine should respond. I think one of the most important things about the emergence of voice tech is this thought from Mark Weiser, which is that he said the most profound technologies are those that disappear. They weave themselves into the fabric of everyday life until they are indistinguishable from it. So maybe our jobs as voice people or interaction designers is to kind of make the technology feel just so completely woven into our everyday life that we don't even know it's there. And in fact, speech is really the oldest interaction method going, if you think about it, right? It's been in our lives for, you know, hundreds of thousands of years. All right, so why come on to this course, and why learn conversation as a designer? Alan Cooper said the biggest conundrum in technology is that it's harder to tell a computer to do something than it is for the computer to do it. We're still facing this challenge, and as designers it's our job to kind of continue chipping away at this until computers can really understand us. I mean, I'm sure you know some of these stats, but smart speakers were basically the fastest adopted technology in history, even faster than smartphones in terms of their growth curve. They just continue to grow and grow and grow. So speech is becoming more and more an interaction mode for people. As illustrated here, the projected sales forecast is very, very high, excluding China. I think one of the main reasons that we as creators and designers need to invest is that what we're seeing is that the spectrum of ways in which we interact is just expanding, and kind of lots of blurred lines. So we'll talk a lot in the course around these different modes. But the key thing as designers is that it's really important for us to go beyond screens, because things are stretching out. We'll continue to see, I don't really think of voice as a voice-only future. What I think about is this multimodal spectrum, because it is a multimodal future. So it's important for us as designers to start to explore it. Even if our organizations don't necessarily want it right away, it's important that we're ahead of the curve and know that actually we've got the skills to be able to think about these multiple modes. So a quick overview of the course over a few weeks. It's going to be led by Stratis, who's been running the course a few times already. I'm new, I'm joining, so I'll run some of the course parts of the course, and he will run the others. But yeah, Stratis is an award-winning voice designer. His products have done really, really well in Europe. And I've been training people in voice. So hopefully between us, you've got a really great set of experience, and we can give you some of our learnings from the past few years. The main thing you're going to be doing is working on kind of a project example in teams. So you'll be getting together, you know, on these set dates, and then in between you can kind of go away and collaborate. But an example of a project here is that you'll have 6 weeks to design a hypothetical skill for Starling Bank. You'll follow an end-to-end design process, and there are some key things that you'll deliver by the end. So some of the design artifacts that Amazon usually require before they will let you launch one of their skills. You'll prototype some of the core bits of it in, well, probably won't use Invocable now, probably like voice flow. This is a slightly old example, apologies, but you get the idea, right? You've got to prototype and test core parts of the experience. We'll target some particular devices. And so Stratis and I will take you through the process of getting to the end and then presenting back to ourselves and others on where your product has got to. Week by week, I'll just break it down a little bit. So we'll start with an introduction to voice interfaces and Alexa, kind of what the opportunity really is. Week 2 will mostly be around strategy. So how do you even, the most common question I get actually when I consult and train in voice is, what use case should I pick and how do I find one? And I'll come back to an example of that in a moment. So conversation design practices and principles. So like really getting into like the nitty gritty parts of how to design a conversation. There's lots of really rich, unexpected things to learn there. And they're unexpected because we actually think we know speech because we're using it every day, but it's very rare that, like, linguists do, where they get into the nuts and bolts and actually break down language. So then week 4, we'll get into like how to prototype and test. I'll show you an example of that in a bit. Really, really fun stuff. So sound design, launching your voice skill. That'll be that week. And then in the final week, we'll do some presentations and sort of wrapping up. So that's the rough structure of the course. In between each week, we'll give you a little bit of mentoring as well, each team. So it won't just be sort of show up and then bye, see you next week. We'll hopefully be able to nudge you along as well in between. So I'm going to show you some example things that we'd be teaching during the course, just to kind of, well, give you something useful now, but also kind of give you a taste of the kinds of things we're going to talk about. So coming back to this use case idea, we'll spend a lot of time during 1 week on this, but a common thing I do is the following. So what I do is I get people to list out contexts that users are in, right, or environments that they're in. So in the kitchen or driving to a friend's house. And then we can talk about subject matters, right? So food or appointments, or it could be like clothing or anything really. And then what we do is we can start to brainstorm by pairing these contexts and subject matters like tasks or how might we's, which is an alternative that Kane suggested, right? So when you start moving these around, it gets really interesting. You actually can, oh, you lost the connection to the camera. I don't know if anyone can still hear me. Let me know. Let me just see if my camera, oh yeah, there we go, I'm back. Sorry, don't know what happened to my camera. Anyway, so using this idea, you can start to swap around subject matters and continue to brainstorm like questions that a user might have for a voice device or problems they might want to solve with it. And you can just do this sort of idea generation this way. And of course, I don't know if you're familiar with a double diamond, sometimes you want to just generate as many ideas and to these scenarios as possible. So we can do a bit of that on a Miro board, for example, in your teams. So I want to talk to you. So one of the things I'm known for is I compiled this list of, when I started to learn voice design, I realized it was actually quite hard because there aren't many books on the subject, actually. There's not a lot of learnings out there. So what I did was I went around the web and I started to collect principles that were useful to learning about how to design for voice. And I've just put them all into this one-page website called voiceprinciples.com, which you can go and have a look at. But this is a really common example. I'm going to show you a couple of funny examples of why it's so important to be brief. So let's have a listen to a couple of things. Alexa, how many calories are in a banana?
There are varieties of bananas. For example, raw bananas contain 89 calories per 100 grams, 25 calories per ounce, and dehydrated bananas have 346 calories per 100 grams, 98 calories per ounce. A typical value is 346 calories per 100 grams, 98 calories per ounce, for example for dehydrated bananas or banana powder.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Alexa. I'm not sure I really needed all of that, but yeah. Okay. Let's ask Google. Google, how many calories are there in a banana?
There are 89 calories in 100 grams of banana.
Okay. Now I need to know what the average banana weighs. Kind of right sort of length, but maybe not quite the right information. You get the point. Anyway, so that's an example of why it's, oh God, sorry. I went back.
There are 89 calories in 100 grams of banana.
I'm so sorry, everyone. I went back in my slides and now it's just running through the audio. Let me, I'm gonna stop that and share it again on a different screen. So meantime, so that was an example of one of the design principles that we need to work through. I will move on to the other thing, which is a really fun thing. I'm going to share my screen. A really fun fact about designing for voice is the following, that it's a lot easier and more fun to quickly prototype in voice. And I was working in Chicago a few years ago, and I sort of set myself this weird challenge where I was literally standing in front of Edward Hopper's designers at what is it called? Nighthawk Diners. And I was like, I wonder if I could create a voice interface and test it in like an hour, because I know it's kind of easier to sort of prototype things. So I figured it out, and I actually wrote this article all about this, which you can see below here. Maybe Adrian can share that afterwards. But it was a really interesting challenge, and I worked on it with a friend of mine at Google, and I came up with this kind of really crazy method for sort of how to have an idea and test it really fast. So I'm going to demonstrate something now. I'll see if I can share a slightly different screen. Let's share my prototyping screen. Hang on. Where is it? Here we go. All right. So I'm going to make this a bit bigger. If you can all see this. Can you all see this? All right. What this window is what I did was I've written a text file which has some phrases in it, and I can actually trigger these by pushing keys. So what you would use in a test here is you use this as what was called a Wizard of Oz, right? So the idea is that you test how you think the dialogue is going to go with users, and you control it to pretend to be the machine. So let's just have an imaginary conversation. So I'm testing with the user, and I say, hey, you'd like to ask Alexa to record a meeting. I know Alexa can't actually do that. I can't record anything like that, but let's just pretend for a moment. So Alexa, record my meeting.
Recording started. How long is your meeting?
Oh, I guess it's about an hour.
1 hour. Okay. Who would you like me to send the recording to?
To me.
What's your full name? Me.
It's Ben Sauer.
Thanks. Afterwards, I'll send this recording to you.
Now, that's pretty fictional, right? Alexa can't do a lot of those things. But what's interesting is that dialogue, I could only produce the right responses by actually running this test dozens and dozens of times, because I couldn't predict as the designer exactly what people were going to say in response to these questions. So my Wizard of Oz method with this tool, which you can read about in the article, is actually super useful for just doing like super fast prototyping. And actually, you'll find it's really, really fun, the process of doing it, compared to sort of traditional usability testing. Well, I find it that way anyway. All right, back to the slides. Yeah, so we'll do a bit of that kind of testing, which is super fun. And then what you'll be able to do in the prototyping week is to put this into a tool called VoiceFlow. Again, you can actually prototype with a real device, a real Alexa, really fast, and even have your users install your app on their Alexa and test your ideas of how the conversation should go in a very high fidelity, kind of almost real setting. So that's an example of some of the things. So please, I hope I've excited you about what the kind of things you're going to learn. Do join us. We're going to have lots of fun and really create some interesting things. And it will feel as a design practice, really, really different to sort of what it's like to design for screens, and hopefully get you a little bit out of your comfort zone, but have some fun doing it. All right, thanks. That's it from me.
Okay. So thank you very much, Ben, for taking us through a little journey into voice design. We're now going to do a short Q&A. So this is the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to get your questions into the box, whether you listen on YouTube, wherever you are on Facebook. Get your questions into the chat now. If you have any questions for Ben, if you have any questions regarding voice design, conversational design, if you have any questions regarding the upcoming course, which starts very soon on the 27th of October, we have a few spaces left for this particular course. So feel free to get your questions in and we'll be happy to take them. We'll just wait a moment.
I'm going to post that link. I can see somebody's asked for that, so I'll put that in the chat.
No problem. We'll just give a few minutes if anyone has any questions, and if anybody doesn't have any questions, then we will start to wrap up soon. Okay, so we've had a couple of questions in. So Ahmed has asked, would you share the article and voice printable website? Yes, so Ahmed, you will get some information after the webinar that will be sent out to you regarding the article and the voice printable website. Yeah. Okay, and Balaji, I hope I've pronounced your name right. Balaji asks, do we solve the real project problem in this course? Okay, so I'm going to take that question. So in regards to this particular course with conversational design, it's quite complicated to do real life projects with this particular course. So what you will be working on is a hypothetical project. For example, working on a project regarding Starling Bank, which is a digital bank, or maybe Monzo, which is another digital bank, or maybe British Airways, for example. So you'll be working on a hypothetical project with this particular course, as it's quite complicated to involve a real life project into it, but you will be working on a very practical project.
Yeah, I think the important thing there is not so much whether the project is actually real, but whether you've been through the rigor of actually trying to figure out whether a use case and a scenario that you pick is actually useful to users. And that's kind of really where you need to sort of stretch your mental muscles. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And let's go on to the next question here. So Mariam has asked, do we need to be familiar with all of these tools before starting the course? The short answer to that is no. Ben, did you want to add anything to what Mariam just said?
No, not at all. You won't need to learn these tools at all. And there's virtually nothing technical about them, just to be clear. Anything that we suggest that you use will be should be fairly obvious to designers off the bat. We're not going to introduce any sort of technical complexity. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Kwani here has asked, can we include the hypothetical project into our portfolio and resume? Yeah, why not? Why not? Okay, here's another one that's coming from Annalisa. Annalisa asks, talking about multilingual voice design, can you recommend any particular course or resource? I run a translation business. Maybe you might want to, Ben, do you have any? So this, in terms of multilingual voice design, I believe this course will give you a strong foundation. But in terms of specific course, Ben, is that something you can advise on?
So I have some experience in doing parallel design in two languages or culture. I worked in Belgium for a bit, so we were doing French and Flemish at the same time. So I have some experience. I don't know if a course for that in particular exists, and I think we'd need to talk about the particulars of your scenario. And I'm more than happy. Reach out to me on LinkedIn or something, you can ask me about that if you like. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. We got another question from Mariam, and Mariam asks, as we don't do real projects, do we still check the feasibility of what we are designing, or would it be conceptual? Ben, could you advise on this?
Yeah, sure. So we'll be encouraging teams to think really hard about the feasibility, like, and we'll be giving advice like, is this a real thing? Have we chosen a use case that actually represents value to users? So that'll be a really important part of it. And then we will be encouraging you to use the tools to go out and find users to test with. Now, obviously, that'll take a little bit of extra effort in between some of the weeks. If you feel as a team motivated enough to really get out there and try it with users, then by all means do. And in fact, the tools do support remote testing. So yeah, we'll be encouraging you to do that.
Awesome. Thanks for answering that question, Ben. Okay, we've got another question from Balaji. Again, I hope I pronounced your name right. And the question asks, you briefly touched upon the multimodal. Will you be helping us to learn that aspect?
Yeah, definitely. We'll probably try to focus your projects on voice only. I mean, we're not going to stop you from designing multimodal. We will be teaching some elements of that. But the reason for that is quite important. It's really important to learn the fundamentals of a voice-only experience first, and then expand it out. And there's a principle behind this, which we talk about a lot, which is voice first. So voice first has two meanings. It means it's really useful for a user to start an experience with voice. It also means it's really useful to design an experience with voice first. Because it turns out it's a little bit like the mobile first era. If you remember, when we started to get smartphones, we realized that, you know, it was much easier to design a small screen experience and then expand it out. Turns out the same is broadly true with voice. It's much easier to design it right in voice first, and then think, right, what would this be like in a chatbot, or what would this be like on a website? And then you can start to expand the detail. If you imagine like a user asking Alexa, hey, Alexa, you know, when is the next bank holiday? My Alexa's going to answer this now.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
No, sorry, she's not sure. Sorry, everyone. She doesn't know when the next bank holiday is. But imagine the gov.uk at GDS, the team who designed the government UK website. They were answering this question. They are now optimizing for the sentences that answer those questions to important sort of, you know, national questions. Because what they've worked out is that thinking about it as a page of content is actually very limiting. What you need to think about is like, what is the shortest form that this content could take? And it turns out that's voice. So it's really important to actually think of voice only as a starting point. But we don't want to limit you, obviously, as a team. But it's kind of useful to design only voice. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Right. We're going to take any final last questions before we start to move on to the next section. Okay. Okay, so we don't have a question. We don't have any other questions. Looks like we'll start to move on to the next section. Ben, I want to say thank you very much for your contribution. Regards to, right, okay, this always happens, right? Just when we're about to move on, someone drops a question. Right, Ben, we'll have the last question for yourself. Is a platform independent course? Is it a platform independent course? Can I build for Alexa as well as for Google or Siri? Yeah,
this is a very important question, so we should definitely take the time to answer this one. So we're going to be teaching you principles that apply to all of them, because that's really, really important as designers, right? We don't want to just limit ourselves to a single platform. In terms of some of the things, we'll probably focus on Alexa, not because you know, we want to sort of limit it, but the certification and launching process that you go through is particular to Amazon. So it's useful to just spend some of our time thinking about what the particulars are. But I can promise you that the tools and the principles you will learn apply to all. Siri is a very interesting example because it's not really like the others at all, and we can discuss that in the course. but it's obviously a far less free as a platform, and the way in which you design for it and think about it is quite different. So we can cover that during the course.
Excellent. Well, if there isn't any more questions, we'd like to thank Ben for joining us on this short session. Thank you very much, Ben.
No problem. Thanks, everyone, and I hope to be working with you very soon in the next few weeks. Sign up.
Great. Thank you. Thanks, Ben. Okay, I believe Ben is about to jump off, guys. So thank you.
I got to jump off. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Cheers. All right, guys. Well, that's the Q&A section done. Thank you very much for submitting your questions and for taking part. I'm sure you got some value from what Ben had to share. And for those of you signing up into the course, you will get a lot more from Ben. And just to remind you, yes, so in terms of the offer, as some of you asked about the course and how to enroll, yeah, you can get the course at a discounted rate. Just enter the code workshop12 into the course basket, and you'll be able to get a nice little discount off the course. Now, let's move on. So what did you learn from today? So today we covered how to identify how voice can enhance your brand experience. We also covered how to craft the voice experience and the personality. Okay. And yeah, just spread the word. I think voice is going somewhere that we didn't think that it's going to go. And today, in today's day and age with technology, you've seen everything with pandemic. You've seen everything with the way everything is starting to involve a lot more voice. We're starting to do a lot more and more things, and we're starting to need a lot more voice activation to be able to get on with our lives. So I'm sure you guys took value from that particular session. Now, just want to share some books with you guys. So if you guys are interested, if you're curious and you want to learn a little bit more about voice design or conversational design, otherwise, which is more of the umbrella term, okay? Here are some books you can check out. I will include this in the email that will go out later on. So you do have Wired for Speech, which is by Clifford Nass and Scott Brave. And then you also have Conversational UX Design, which is by Robert J. Moore and Raphael Ara. There are some others as well. As Ben did mention O'Reilly earlier on in the webinar, he has a book called Designing Voice Interfaces. So be sure to check that one out as well. Okay, just a reminder of the real life project. Sorry, not the real life project, the hypothetical project example that any of you who come on the course will be working on. So in terms of the course itself, it's a 6-week course. So what will happen is you'll have 6 weeks to design a hypothetical skill for starting bank, and you should be able to follow the end-to-end design process. And at the end of the course, the whole idea is to get you in a position where you can design artifacts for Amazon certification or Google certification, whatever voice activation system that you want to use. You should be able to prototype for core parts of the experience in Invocable, VoiceFlow, whatever voice prototyping tool that you're going to use. And then you should be able to do a presentation right at the end. So at the end, you will have the opportunity to do a presentation that can be to someone in the industry, or that can be to the instructors. Okay. And the target devices is Alexa. The reason why we're using Alexa in the course is because it's one of the most popular voice activated systems out there in the world. Okay. In terms of design artifacts, you'll be looking at VUI flows, that's voice user interface flows, and then you'll be listing out sample utterances and slot synonyms. Don't worry too much about that. Those of you that come onto the course, you will learn a little bit more. And in the project case study, you'll be looking at the problem, the hypothesis, the design process. You'll be looking at insights from research, proof of iteration, demo of the latest prototype of core parts of the experience, and then some next steps. So these are some things that you will be looking at in terms of the projects that you'll be embarking on. Okay, before I kind of wrap up and share a little bit about UX Academy again and why you probably would want to enroll in the course, I've got another treat for you guys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share some of the previous student projects that took place. So just give me a moment. I will share a demonstration from some of our past students. So for those of you who are still here, stick around. It's going to be great. Just give me a moment. Okay.
So we're Team BA. I'm UX designer, and
yeah, I'm kind of a product strategist.
So this was our brief. It was looking at British Airways has realised the potential of using a voice user interface to remove the friction from their customers' experience, and is planning to develop an Alexa skill. And the two features we were to look at was the ability to check the status of their booked flight and the ability to check for the cheapest flight to a destination.
So kind of in general, to summarise sort of everything we discovered from doing the research, and then also a little bit from looking at competitors, which we'll show in a minute. We kind of both wanted to make managing your flight
initial flow that we removed from the end prototype, but actually when we started prototyping this and testing it, it just felt like a really long process that people would just go back to using a visual interface because they could check the price differences across days and things like that. So we kind of felt that this was turning out not to be a good use case. So we did like a pure discover flight. So it's looking at how can we get like our user persona, somebody who's just sat with their friends and they want to know somewhere new they could go and roughly how much it would cost them. Yeah, this is like a mock-up of what our skill would look like in the App Store.
And we said it makes managing flights easier with hands-free updates and information on your upcoming flights and flights saved in your account, and get notifications when prices change, or quickly find out how much baggage allowance you have on your next flight.
So this is a video of one of the prototype of discovering a flight working.
Open Discover VA.
Welcome to British Airways. Would you like to hear the status of your flight or discover a new flight?
Discover a new flight.
Okay, what type of holiday would you like?
City break.
Okay, when would you like to go?
Beginning of September.
And for how long?
4 days.
Okay, I found several flights. The cheapest is £271.
The actual very end of the skill was the hardest bit to write the script for because it was a lot of information to convey. We had to kind of adjust the way the script was so you could understand from the slightly robotic voice. We were before saying AM and PM on the times, and that made it feel very unnatural and very awkward to remember the information. And actually changing it to say in the morning and in the evening made it clearer, although it was slightly longer.
As we said, we kind of went light on a few things, but we thought, maybe looking more into the notification side of it for sort of saved flights, or even for like, you have a flight tomorrow, looking into the ability to check in through the skill. In general, further sort of testing and iteration on what we've created so far, given that some of the things kind of were late entrants. And that's it. Thanks.
Okay, I do apologize if you guys didn't hear the sound. This is actually available on YouTube, so this is some of our student alumni who did a voice design project presentation. We will make sure you get this via email if you couldn't hear everything in the sound. Okay, just do apologize about that. Now I'm just going to share my screen again, and I'm going to start to bring this to a close. So why UX Academy? So UX Academy, we've been running the courses online since March, so definitely pandemic proof. You know, we've been doing this for a while now, so you're going to be sure that you're going to get some good value from this course. So 6 weeks live online lessons with online workshops. So we're using Zoom, Zoom breakout rooms, Miro, VoiceFlow, some of the tools that you saw earlier on. Okay, so it's one evening a week. So this can be done around your full-time education, your full-time job, whatever it is that you're doing in the full-time, you can fit this around the course. So this is this course is going to take place on 6 p.m. between 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. starting from the 27th of October. Okay, now it's pandemic proof, so there's a lot of people in this time who are trying to switch careers, trying to switch jobs. So this is a career that if you're looking to switch careers into, it's great because as Ben talked about earlier on, and I even talked about earlier on, this is only going to be the future. There's going to be more voice-activated devices, whether it's cars, whether it's smartphones, tablets, laptops. My MacBook even has Siri on it. There's going to be some more and more devices, and with more and more devices having more voice-activated systems on there, there's only going to be an even greater demand for jobs. So definitely, if this is a career that you're looking to switch into, it's not a bad investment to make. You will graduate with a professional certificate and a professional portfolio, and as soon as you finish the course, you will be eligible to apply for roles as well. You'll be able to work in teams. So when working in these projects, you will be assigned into teams. So this would be a great way for you to build team working skills when going for a job. You'll also get access to tutors week in, week out, resources, and you also get unique insights from the course as well as CV, portfolio, and career support. There's also post-coursework experience and networking opportunities as well. So if you want to do a presentation to some people in the industry, we can make that happen for you as well. And also one of the main things and one of the most popular parts of the course, aside from the live lessons and the coursework and the weekly workshops, is the weekly mentorship. So I'm going to talk to you more about what's in store for mentorship. Okay, so how mentorship works is you will have a weekly 30-minute slot with your teams. So you will be able to have an opportunity to speak to one of the instructors. And this can be opportunity to talk to instructors about almost anything, ranging from UX life, ranging to assistance with your projects, getting advice in your career, getting advice in your portfolio. So almost anything related to UX, voice, etc. You'll be able to get assistance with during the mentorship sessions. If you want to learn more about mentorship, you can visit our website, UX Academy, myuxacademy.com/mentorship. And it's not mandatory, but it's optional. And it has been very, very popular for students that have enrolled because it does give you that kind of intimacy or that kind of opportunity to dive a bit deeper into the course or into voice design, or to discuss anything related to the course outside of the weekly lessons and the weekly workshops. So it'll be a weekly meetings with one of the course instructors who will mentor you. You'll have the opportunity to address project progress. This will help you to kind of, overcome any obstacles, any challenges that you may encounter during the projects. This will be also a good opportunity for you to ask any follow-up questions on the course tools, methodologies, and so on and so forth. Okay, so just a reminder, these are the two instructors in the course. You've got Stratus, who has 10+ years experience in the UX design industry, and of course Ben as well, who has a lot of experience in conversational design. And they've all worked in top companies. So you were talking about Vogue, Condé Nast, GQ magazine, NASA, CNN Traveler, Aviva, the list goes on and on and on. I've seen some of their portfolios and it's absolutely fantastic. You guys are in very good hands in regards to Stratus, in regards to Ben. Okay, just to bring this to a close, just to remind you guys, if you want to sign up for the voice design course, you can visit myuxacademy.com/enroll, and you can use the code workshop12 in order to bag yourself a little sweet discount. The course will be starting in a few weeks, so we do have some spaces left, so make sure that you get yourself in there if you haven't enrolled already. Okay, and here's a little bit of a bonus tip for you guys. So just as you saw the Team BA presentation, who were our past students for voice design, if you go into YouTube and you type in Team Monzo presentation, okay, you'll be able to see another student alumni do their presentation as well in front of the group. If you want to learn more about UX life, student perspectives, trainer perspectives, and more kind of ideas and concepts regarding UX training, etc., feel free to visit the UX Insights page on our website. So just go into myuxacademy.com. Okay, having said that, that's all from us today. My name is Adrian Daniels. I'm the Head of Growth and Partnerships at UX Academy. And thank you very much for all of you to take time out to attend this short taster session, this short webinar. And hopefully we'll see some of you on the course on 27th of October. Feel free to sign up for the course. And other than that, hope you got some value from tonight regardless. And thank you very much for your time. Cheers.